So here in the shop, today we have a McCulloch Pro Mac 555. And this was brought to me by a friend because he wanted it to run again. And he bought this at a local show that we had in our town for $5 as a parts chainsaw for $5. And he told me he has never heard it run. I mean, it's got no pull cord, so he has no way. So it needs a new throttle cable, throttle linkage, because there's nothing hooked up there. And it needs a pull rope with a pull handle, which I have actually 2 in my parts down there. And it basically what I'm going to try and do is just clean this saw up and hopefully get it to run. This is a big saw. It's a McCulloch Pro Mac 555. It's a pretty big saw. It's bigger than my Home Light Super XL. And I thought that thing was heavy. So I'd better be wrong about that. So this carburetor's loose on here. I don't know why. I guess the bolts probably need tightened up. I'll grab my light here, see if I can't get it to stay. So far, so good. Okay. So I'm just gonna check over the saw and make sure it's actually worth it. We got our oil pump. A little sticky. This is a manual oiling saw. You have to press this to get the chain to oil. This saw does not have a bar or chain. My friend, he actually brought me this saw and then a little McCulloch 130, a little miniature saw, like a tiny little saw. And I did a little bit of work to it, cleaned up the plug wire and that type of stuff on it to where it had spark, and I poured some fuel down the carburetor and it fired up for a little bit. So all I need to do is just do carburetor work on it. So I'm gonna do this one first. Seems more tempting. So, well, the choke linkage here is off of here. Okay, then you can choke it now. Yeah, carburetor's definitely loose. So, well, why not start with the recoil and see what it'll sound like once I pull it over. Guess I'll start with the recoil and I'll come back whenever I can get it all there and just about done. Okay, I got this cover unscrewed. So this screw that was supposed to be right here, it is gone. And I got these 2 long screws, which are right here and down on the bottom. And this stubby one is right here. And this whole thing just comes right off here. So this is very oily in here. So I'm guessing this saw either leaked some bar oil or something. And it looks like we had some residents in here. Oh, well, it spins over. Oh, it's got a broken cooling fin. It's got a broken cooling fin right there on the flywheel, which is just aluminum. One of them isn't that big of a deal, but if there's like 3 or 4 of them, then you probably need to either figure out an alternative for putting new ones on there or to get a new flywheel. In this case, it's only one and I'm not going to worry about it. So that's the old coil there. The starter fins look good. Yeah, we got a mud dauber nest right there, so I'm going to try and chip that out. Get all that stuff out of there. And this saw, I mean, it feels like it could have a little bit more compression. I'm pretty sure this saw doesn't have a compression release. Pretty sure it does not have a compression release. I'm not too familiar with McCullochs. I've never worked on more than one McCulloch before, so. I have worked on a few McCullochs, but not really far into them. So I'll get all this stuff cleaned up and then show you guys a little bit more on it. Here's a little bit more of what we're dealing with inside here. There's your flywheel, there's the broken off fin right there, the coil. Looks like it's got points under there. Look, there's another whatever association right there. So you get that thing out. Pretty big saw, so. It's got a blade brake too, or a chain brake. I mean, I can curl this saw, it's not that heavy. And it looks like it's been dripping something right there. I mean, I can curl that saw, it's not that heavy. Maybe, I don't know, 15, 20 pounds, probably. Without the bar on it. So, and probably fluidless, or it is fluidless, so. I will start by the recoil and come back with whenever that's done. And see if I can't get it to crank over by recoil. This thing ought to work here. This is just a universal pull cord. So what's on this home light? Super XL. That's what is on it. Is that same exact universal one. And these are the same handles that are on the Tecumsehs too. So yeah, I'll put that on there and film whenever it's done. So I got this recoil ripped off. This was inside. This piece right here. And it just has a little spot where the line wraps around through there. So this is the line that came out of it. There's a little hole in the end there where this tiny little pin went in, and then it fed through some things to keep it, the pin was in there from going through the hole, and then that just wrapped around the little joints in that piece and threw a loop and wrapped around. And I couldn't put that pin in my new piece of rope, so what I did is I got a nail, ground the nail head down a little bit on the belt sander. Now I'm going to cut the nail off right there, and I'm going to feed it through. That'll work as a good stop because it doesn't have enough room in there to keep a knot in the rope in there. It's too slim. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut that nail off right there, and then that's going to be that. And I'm just going to start feeding it through, cut the rope to length, tie that end on there, pre-wind the spool, and put everything back together, and wind the rope and put the end on it. That'll be just fine. So that'll work for me. So it's a little tip. Use a nail for a little pin, because what I had to do is I just pinched it in the vise like this, but with the other end. I pinched the nail, or pinched the rope right here, and then the sharp end of the nails right here, and I just pressed it on in the middle of the screw, so the end of the nail would push through a little bit more and not bottom out. So that's how I did that, and I'm going to cut it off and start winding it. So this is the end that I've already ran through, and this is the end that I'm going to run through with the little pin on the end. Starts in here, runs under that little groove, comes up in that pin that comes up, and it's going to come at a 90 and then wrap around. And then I'll just pull it tight. Okay, I need to move it a little bit, so I got it routed in here. So now I just need to put it back on, set the pre-tension, wind it up, put that little plastic cover back on there, put the top on, and hopefully this thing does not explode. I can get it. I've done like 7 recoil starters in my life. On push mowers and 2-strokes and that type of stuff. mostly on 2 strokes, but I've done a lot, so. What's actually really, really, really cool about these McCullochs and this little system on here, instead of you having to put pre-tension on the spring, hold it, and then wrap the string and put it all together, what you can do is pre-wind the tension with the string in the thing, in the actual spool, wrap the string around till you know it's up to the line, up to the edge of the spool, or at least close normally, and then you can just put it on and then just put a pair of vice grips or something on the end so it'll prevent it from going down, put it together, and then it'll stop itself. Yeah. And I already marked my piece right there. I need to cut it right there. Because what I'm going to do, this is how much string it has. Right here. That's plenty. Plenty for an old saw like this. And it pulls over just fine how it is right now. I'm going to do that. It's got plenty of recoil. Put the end on there. Should be just fine. Okay, so you get this piece on here first. Tie the knot in here, slip it on there. And then you just simply push that piece right in there. I'm going to step on it so it doesn't fly off. Take your vice grips off. There you have a pull cord right there. Look at this. And there's your fresh pull cord.